Welcome to Beautifully Whole, a podcast spreading the awareness on body image and how body dysmorphia affects the mental health within the Asian community. Today's podcast will focus on the double standards that exist between Asian and American beauty standards. I'm Lisa.
Hello, I'm Chloe.
Hello, I'm Jessie.
Hi, I'm Benicia. I'm a fourth-year MCDB major. I grew up in Singapore and I moved here for college.
Okay, so I think we can get started. I have a question first today, and I wanted to ask, how do beauty and body standards differ within the Asian countries and America?
Starting off with maybe the body part of the beauty standards. The Asian standards are very much like skinny, dainty, lean, feminine equals lean and skinny. And whereas Americans is very, at least in the current climate, is very like slim thick, I would say, unless that is going out of style now. That's such a weird thing to say, your body is going out of style. But I think usually around these days it's like slim thick, you gotta be curvy at the right places, but like fit at the same time. What do you guys think?
I think like American standards is like sometimes so unrealistic. Even like I know Asian standards are like really bad too, but I feel like sometimes American standards is worse just because like they look for like the curves, but then you have to have like the skinniest waist, and then you have to have like the skinniest legs as well. But like that's not how bodies are built. Like it's all genetics. So like some people have that because of genetics. So like I feel like that's a big difference. The Asian countries, it's all like skinny, but like it like matches like their body standards matches like their whole body, like yeah, it's like aligned. But like American is more like unrealistic in the way how they want like us to be shaped in a way, which is like so weird. Like I feel like I don't know, it's like so like unrealistic, and then you see all these like models, and like I feel like one of the worst things about America is like how like plastic surgery is so like go get it. like what? I'm just like I don't know about that one.
Yeah, like honestly, like when you mentioned plastic surgery, I immediately think about like, oh my gosh, like social media definitely has like a lot of influence on this too. 'Cause whenever like I watch TikToks and stuff, like you see all these like slim, thick people, and then like, plastic surgery is like a big thing, especially. And like honestly, like everything we just mentioned, like it all just came like in a rush in me. I was like, oh my gosh, like oh my goodness, like but definitely like social media like really like puts these kinds of standards out there too.
Also, another thing that I thought about was like how in Asia, people were like more fair skin type. Yeah, like people would prefer to be more fair, while in America it's more like tan, like people like going sun tanning and stuff.
I think I like personally struggle with that a lot because like I feel like when I go to like I've only gone to Japan, but like when I go there I'm like I need to be as pale as possible, and like it was really hard like staying like not being tan just because I did like soccer, which is like an outdoor sport, so I was always tan. So like when I go back to like Japan, I'd get like they knew I was not from there, even though like technically I was like born there, and I could have been like I'm like fully Japanese and everything, but like I just felt so out of place just because like of my skin tone. Like that was just so weird. Like and like none of like and that's the beauty standard because like if I go to like the store and I look for like a concealer shade or like a foundation, like they're not gonna have my shade.
Like 2 shades.
Yeah, they have 2 shades, and it's like they're like not like they don't even match my mom's skin tone, and like she's really pale too. Like not really pale, but she's like way paler than me. So like I'm like, where do I find like my shade? Like I think that's like a big thing I struggled with growing up. And like even this summer, I was like, okay, I can't tan before going to Japan because I'm like, I can't buy the makeup there. I'm like, I want to buy the makeup there, so it's like, it's kind of hard. Like, balancing that like middle, because like I feel like Asian countries and America has such like a big difference when it comes to like beauty and body standards. So it's like trying to find like that in between is so hard, because when you're in that in between, you kind of feel like you're not enough for either, so you don't fit in either criteria. So it's like it's kind of like what do I want kind of thing, and it's like for me it'd be phases. Like I want to look like these like girls in Japan, and then I'll go through a phase where like, oh, I want to look like these like American girls. Like it's like weird, like back and forth.
It's really interesting because I kind of had like the exact opposite of what you went through, because like I'm really pale. So like, but then I went to an American school where everyone was pretty Americanized, and you know how in middle school there was like the Tumblr era, right? Like
Oh
girls
my
would pose with their
god.
legs at the beach looking like hot dogs. And then like I would also want to be tan just like other girls, and I feel like I low-key got bullied. Maybe like other people didn't realize they were like saying harmful things, but they would say like, you look like a ghost or you look sickly just because I had like really pale skin. But then when I got home, like my family and my relatives would be like, "Oh my god, your skin is so pale, like so good. We're so jealous." And I'm like, "So what's going on here?" Like, I was so confused, but um I felt personally a stronger need to um, stick with the beauty standards my friends and I had been subjected to, which is like the Western beauty standard of being more tan. But then there was my family being there, like with their Asian beauty standards, saying like pale is good. And I felt that it was only when K-pop started being popular that I started being able to accept myself more, because I see like paler skin being more accepted by the Western, or like in general globally. And it was kind of like finding a niche that would accept me and represent me. But I feel like recently there has been more of these niches coming out. Like I see trends in especially like doing makeup, celebrating like Americanized makeup, which would be like Asian girls putting on like tons of bronzer and big eyeliner, and they look so good. So I'm really happy to see a lot of different makeup looks being like celebrated, and skin tones, like different combinations. You don't have to be just pale and skinny fitting the Asian standards, or like tan and curvy fitting the Western ones. So
I think I like completely agree with that, because I feel like when I was growing up, I was more conscious about it, as like I don't feel like as like conscious about it now, just because like it's like more like there's like a diverse more like way of like, because like I don't know how to describe this, but like before it was like when I lived in America growing up, and like I lived in an area where it was very like whitewashed, so like I felt like I had to like fit in with them, and I like didn't find friends until like high school, where I was like I found people like me who like didn't really like fit into like all the American standards, and like they fit more into like just like Asian like beauty standards and like body like standards. So it like wasn't until high school where I was like, oh, like I don't have to look like these like girls that like go to my school, because like obviously I like am not white, like I'm not gonna look like this. But like I feel like before growing up, like especially middle school, I feel like that was like a prime time where I was like so whitewashed. Like I felt like I wanted to be these like girls. Like I would like try to buy from all these like the same stores that all these girls like bought from, and like get the same makeup and like look the same way and like everything when I was like, and then in high school I'm like, what am I doing? Like why am I like trying to be someone who I like don't even want to be? So like I feel like more now it's like it's not as bad, but I feel like growing up I struggled the most with like finding that like perfect in between like fitting into Asian standards but also the American standards. But like I feel like now it's more like you said, it's like more diverse. So it's like you don't feel as like pressured. I feel like I felt like pressure to look a certain way, which like is never the right way. Like if you feel pressured, that's like you can look whatever you want, but like for me, I felt pressure, and I like can admit like I feel like I am whitewashed in a way, just because like in the way, especially how I like look and dress myself because of how long I've lived in America. But like before, it was so brainwashing to like try to look like something else than I was in.
Well, the question I wanted to ask, I feel like we kind of went over already, but I wanted to learn more about your personal experiences where you felt the conflict between Asian standards and American standards. So everyone would like to share something.
So kind of similar, like somewhat to like Lisa's story. I grew up in a family where like in the Philippines especially, like basically if you have like lighter skin, it is very much like looked up to. It is very like it's this basically the beauty standard. Low-key kind of stuttering this right now, my bad. But yeah, I just remember like going to the Philippines and like I was 5 years old. I played in the sun like all the time. And when I visited for the first time when I was 5 years old, the first thing that like my relatives commented on was how dark my skin was. And I was a little 5 year old, but they were already like they were already suggesting that I have to use like a whitening soap and like all these whitening products. And I'm like, now that I look back at it, I'm like, why are you telling like a 5 year old to like whiten her skin? And then growing up, it's like I kept getting told like, oh, like why is your skin so dark and all that. There was a time like during middle school where like I was struggling to like, I didn't feel good in like my tan skin essentially. It got a lot better though, like as I got into high school. But if I were to like tell like middle school me like some advice is like you should embrace yourself. You are like your own person. You're beautiful. But I remember like especially because like I went to like in middle school, like it was also like kind of hard to like balance between like Asian and like American standards because here's like the Asian standards like right here and then here's like like I felt like I had to also like kind of fit in order to make friends. And I went through that whole Tumblr era, like I had like a whole like there was like Pinterest and like all that and I was like maybe I should like get these certain products so I can like be quote unquote like a cool person. But truth is like you're your own person and the people who are like meant to be in your life are meant to be there for you. And lesson is like from all of that is like no matter what, like as long as like you are like happy and like content with yourself, like you're doing fucking fantastic. I don't know if we're blurting out curse words, but that's just like my little bit right there.
So for me, because I grew up in Singapore, like my family would they they would encourage me to not uh, go sun tanning and stuff, like or do anything that can make my skin tanner. And I did have really fair skin, so everyone was like, "Oh, we love your fair skin." And then when I came here for college, I started going to the beach and stuff, like going outdoors. And so I started getting tanner, and then every time I go back, they would say, "Oh my God, you got like darker and stuff. Like you look so different. You should stay in the shade more. Don't go to the beach anymore." Yeah. And so I guess that really like made me have like a conflict, like, oh, should I maintain the fair skin, or like should I like embrace like my tanner skin right now? But I guess like as time passed, like I realized like, oh, I like the way I am right now, so there's no reason for me to change. And then also another thing that I realized was like coming to America, like I did change my sense of style a little bit, which I think is kind of different from Asia, where it's more conservative. While when I came here, like I started like wearing like clothes that aren't that conservative anymore. So I guess like that's a difference between like Asia and America.
I think like a topic we haven't like touched upon yet is like the sizing differences in the two countries that I struggled with. Because of the beauty standards in Asia, it was meant for a specific type of body, and growing up, I did not have that body. So, like, in America, like, I felt fine and like I was like buying all these clothes, but like as soon as I like went to Japan, I felt so conscious, like self-conscious about like my body, just because like I try on like a pair of jeans, they're not gonna fit me. Like it's just not gonna go over like my thighs specifically. That's like what was the most conscious about. So it's like the sizing really, I think, messes with your brain when it shouldn't, because like I just like a literal question, like why am I like, why is like a size large in like Japan this like a size small here? Like these like sizings really mess with like just like your like mental health, just because you're like, I thought I like I thought I was fit, and then like you go back and you're like, what? So it's like I felt like not like the way like my with me, like I felt very like self-conscious about like my body, and like we talked about in our last podcast how like a lot of family members mention like about like your weight and stuff. So like with that and then like the sizing, I really felt like out of place with like how I looked in like that sense. And like I feel like it's still like a struggle today when I like go back and I'm just like what? Like why is it like so tiny? Like I'm like, who's gonna fit in? Like I cannot fit into that. And like I'll be like, oh, I find a cute top, but like I don't know. Like it's just like my body wasn't built for like the Asian beauty standards, and I've accepted that fact, but like sometimes I'm just like I still look back and I'm like, why is it that like these standards like exist in the first place, and like why does like these countries have to like set these standards so like bluntly to the point where like we have to look so different for like these two different countries, even when like everyone is like different in every country. So like why is it like the like like the standards are so different, but it's like why kind of thing.
I think this goes back to saying sizing is totally socially constructed, and every single size has some sort of connotation to it, which is really messed up. Like your clothes are supposed. Wait, how do I say this? You're supposed to. Wait. Your clothes are supposed to fit you. You're not supposed to fit into your clothes.
Yeah. I think it's
I'm like, I cannot mess this up.
no, I think it's like clothes are made to like fit you, not like you're supposed to fit the clothes.
Yeah,
I think that's how it's worded.
Yeah. I don't want to be problematic. But yes, that. So it's also the whole thing with like foundation shades and everything. Like I understand maybe in Asia there's a narrower range of diversity, just like based on the demographics there, like people tend to look this way, people tend to be this size. That's why like economically they just tend to produce things in that size and shade. But that also doesn't mean there are people outside of that range that also needs to buy clothes and need to buy makeup to feel good about themselves. So it's an issue that we have to address.
I also want to like touch upon like the subject what you were talking about, like style, because like I wasn't that into style like back when I was younger, but like I feel like style for me now, like my clothes are like a big like part of my life, and like right now I like I'm not dressed the way I like usually, like, but like I feel like clothes for me sometimes is like a way of me showing my personality, and I really like styling my clothes and stuff like that. But the thing is like how I dress myself here is like so different than like how I dress myself when I go to like Japan, and like I have to like change my style in a way because they're so different. So like it's kind of like because I like the style that I have now here. When I go back to like Asia, and like, oh, I don't dress that way, and like I feel like sometimes I feel judged for the way I dress because it's not like everyone who dresses in like Japan, and like I love the way I dress, and I like love like my clothes, and I love like how I style it, but like just like when went back, I was like just a little bit more conscious. I'm like, like, or am I gonna get judged today for like wearing this skirt or like wearing this top? Because like some of it, like a lot of my clothes are thrifted, so it's like it just like I don't know, like that concept, and then like everything. Like I just like think my style just doesn't fit the standards that like Asian countries have, and like I think that's a, a thing that like people don't notice too much. And like I was happy when you mentioned it because like I didn't think too many people like experience that, but like I felt like I experience that more now because I care about more about my style. Well, when you're little, you don't really care too much, but like now I'm like my style is such a big part of my life that like I'm like now it's like a like it's affected me when I go back to like Japan and stuff.
Yeah, like kind of talking about like the clothing thing, like I didn't think that like, there are many people out there that also experienced it too. Like growing up, of course, like I didn't really care. Like I was wearing Despicable Me shirts, like representing my man Gru, you guys. Like like I had to do it, of course. But yeah, like I remember like when I visited there, like freshman year of high school, which is when I started to like really find my style. I had to like change like my because it's like a little conservative back in the Philippines, and my family there is also like a bit conservative in the way that they dress, and it kind of felt like I was like trapped in a bubble, and it felt like I'm like I couldn't express who I was as a person based on my style. Kind of had to be like stuck in like this frame or like this standard in order to like fit in. And I'm always like questioning like why does it like feel like I need to be stuck in this kind of like divide between like, oh, like going to Asia and going to America, like what Lisa mentions as well.
Okay, you know those like brandy tops, and it has like a little like just like a little slit right here, and like I thought it was cute. Like yeah, it's just like a regular tank top, and like all my friends had it. Like I wore it like here. Like it was a good beach top, and like I took because in Japan it's crazy hot in the summer. So I'm like, okay, I want to wear a tank top, but like that's also like sometimes my girls like cover up. But like I wore that tank top and it wasn't even like out. I just wore it to like we were like picking like weed from like the garden, like the park, like near my grandma's house, like 2 minutes away. So I wasn't like really like thinking too much about like what I have to wear and like what like I should like what how I should dress. But then like later in that day, apparently like my grandma's like few of like her neighbors were talking about like the way I dress and was like shaming me for the way I dressed just because I was wearing like a tank top and like it had the tiniest little slit, and I'm like why am I supposed to like I was in like 6th grade, and why am I like already getting shamed for the clothes I wear? Like it's hot, I want to wear a tank top, I'm outside in the sun. Like I don't know, it just like because I'm from such like I live in an area where it's like I'm close to the beach, so I'm wearing tank tops constantly. I'm wearing shorts, so like, and then I like get shamed for like wearing that. I just felt like really uncomfortable, and I was like, from I think that experience really altered like the way I dress because I'm like at that moment I realized I was like, wow, I really don't like my style just does not fit with like everyone else's, and like I don't expect it to, but like I feel like it's not something somebody should be shamed for because like everyone dresses differently, and like that's what's unique about everyone's like clothes and style. But it just like felt so like I felt like weird about getting shamed for something I was just wearing just to like a random park and like so close to my grandma's, and it wasn't even like a special event. I was like going out, like it wasn't something serious where like something would happen. It was literally like my grandma's neighbors, and I was getting like told this. So I felt like I feel like from that experience, I've been like more self-conscious about like the way I dress in Japan specifically.
I think it's super hard to navigate trying to be respectful in their country with their culture because obviously they're more conservative and they view like showing more skin as being indecent. But like also who are we to say they're wrong in their values, you know? But also at what point does that move into the
Like
realm
it
of
crosses the
policing your
line. Like
body?
it crosses the
Yeah.
line.
So it's like a spectrum. There's no right or wrong answer. And I do feel like the world as a whole, hopefully, at least from what I see, is moving more like less conservative and more accepting of different styles. But definitely with the older generation, they're still very traditional and conservative. But from my experience, I just try to stay respectful because, like, obviously, I honor my relationships more than I want to wear a tank top. Yeah, so I still try to just make them happy. But if I'm just going out with my friends, I try to do what I want while keeping in mind the culture there. Hmm.
Yeah, I think like for me at that time, I wasn't thinking too much of it because I was like, that was like the time where I was like transitioning and I was like going through puberty and everything. So it's like I didn't like think about it too much because I like thought of myself like a year before. Like I was just like I was like literally a little girl, so like I didn't think too much of it. But like I think from then I was like more like, oh, like it really matters. And like from then I'm like, okay, like I just gotta like cover this part up and like just wear like these skirts, even though it's hot. But like my mom like will be like, oh, like you can just wear this like really thin layer or like something like that. But like I just felt so like uncomfortable getting shamed for something I did, and I was like, it was just like like the whole reason my grandma found out was because she was like talking about it to like other people in like the community. So I was just like, oh, like okay, like. And my grandma will never like judge me on the way I dress, or like she will never say anything. But like she does it to protect me from getting those comments. And like I get like now it's like a bigger thing, but when you're a child and you don't really like care too much about the way you dress and like you're just wearing it to wear it and then you're getting judged for it, it's kind of like hard to like take that comment and just like dismiss it because like now you actually like think about it and you realize, but like when you're little you don't like think about it too much. And like sometimes like you're like as a kid you're oblivious, so then like to get like hit with that was just like, oh wow, like I guess it is like really different. And like I just have to like kind of like adjust myself depending on like where I am, which like sucks, but like it's like you said, the values thing, like there's like a certain line, but then like you just gotta like now I'm like, okay, I'll be I'll like dress more conservatively when I'm in Japan, and it like I still wear like the clothes I wear here, like that I like and like are conservative, and like I can still show my style. But like before, it was just I was so oblivious to it, and like I feel like over the years I've become more conscious of it.
Alrighty, so I kind of want to ask, like, what are some ways we can like address these standards, or like, I don't know if combat's the right way to say it, but I kind of like worded it that way, and then like, what can we do about it, basically?
What do you think, Chloe?
That's a good question. Like, I had to like low key like think about this too, because like I'm putting this question out there, but I'm like, how can we really like I don't know if there's like really there's no going away from these. Like they're always gonna be there, but there are always ways to kind of like work in between. Like it's not easy, but like
Like embrace it.
yeah, like embrace it, like definitely, like just because like right now like we're like in our society, like there's a diversity, and this diversity like can make like someone a lot more comfortable, especially like I feel a lot more comfortable like being myself. But like honestly, there's like no going away from any of these standards, but like spreading awareness, addressing all of these is like one way, but yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Oh, yeah, adding on to what you just mentioned, I think finding a community that uplifts you and tells you you're beautiful is really, really helpful because we all acknowledge that these standards do exist and we have to actively address them, say that it's wrong. So, having people that think similarly to you, that you support and also support you, is really helpful towards our mental health, I think.
Like these standards are like a social issue, so it's like hard to be like, what is the solution? Because like the solution is like, it's like with like these like standards that like are spread through media and everything, there is no like just one answer and like one solution to these problems. So like you said, like finding a community is like so much more helpful to feel like safe and like feel like you belong there, because I feel like when it comes to like these double standards, you feel that sense of like, I don't belong in any of these standards. And like finding like that in between, finding the people that like connect with you and like have the same views of you as you feel like you finally like found like your people, and like your like you don't have to fit any of these standards. Like these like Asian standards and like American standards we're talking about, like we like even though we're Asian, we don't even have to fit like these American or Asian standards. Like these are standards that are set within our country, but like we like don't even need to be like that's like we don't even have to fit like any of those. Like I feel like we can like, if anything, like a mindset to have, I feel like, is like we set our own standard within ourselves, not within a community or like anyone else around. It's like your own standards are like the only thing that matters. And like embracing that is like you just doing that can make actually a big impact to other people, and you don't realize it as much. But like if you embrace that, other people might think, oh, like I could do the same, and like that little thing could like help like a few people feel like more welcomed and more like safe, which is like, yeah, it's not like changing the whole society, but like it's a change. And like a change doesn't start just from like a big thing. Like that's not how change starts. So like from that like little thing and like you just embracing it, it could go like a long way into like just like how other people view themselves. And I think that's like a big thing that like a lot of people don't think about, because like they view it in such a big picture. But like if you start with the little and go to the big, it's like you could actually make like a difference.
I think I really agree with what you said. Like, I feel like confidence is very important. So, because um, everyone has their own standards of beauty too. So, like, you should just embrace yourself, be confident, be who you are, and then it's easier to say be confident even though it's hard too because of what other people can say. But I guess being you should surround yourself with people like-minded people too. So then, yeah, I can stop try to reduce these like insecurities, let's say.
I think that is it for this episode, and I think we can call cut.